right there, yeah. Coach Squad, man, look. Sit tight of the video, man, look. As y'all know, if you watch my videos, I'm a LeBron fan, man. I think he overall, or all around, greatest of all time. He can do overall almost everything, right? So look, it's cool if you think Michael Jordan's to go. I have no issue with that, you know. Or if some of y'all surprisingly think Larry Bird's to go, which is weird, but it's okay. You know, it's your own perspective and your opinion, you know what I'm saying? But listen, how good was Wizards Michael Jordan? As you know, a lot of people in the media, you know, they make jokes and they try to erase these little Michael Jordan Wizard tapes, years, you know what I'm saying? I'm finna find out how good was Michael Jordan on the Wizards. You know, we finna get right to it, man. I might learn something. Let's see.
The Last Dance was one of the hottest documentaries this year, even though the real Last Dance of Michael Jordan happened 5 years after the story in the
Last Dance, pretty good.
doc. In 2001, Jordan unretired for the second time and suited up in a blue Wizards jersey. Some people say that his 2 Wizards years tarnished his legacy, and some praised MJ even more. So what's the real truth? And how good was Jordan in Washington? Was he really washed? Or did he prove once more that he's the GOAT?
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, years ago in the Bulls, right there would have been a whole uppity, up. You know what I'm saying? Up. You know? Yeah, you know, let's be real.
The rest of the video to find out. After The Last Dance. In 1998, MJ and Phil Jackson went to the karaoke bar, and Jordan chose The Careless Whisper by George Michael and sang, "I'm never gonna dance again, the way I danced with you,"
What?
looking gently in Phil's direction. Okay, I totally made that up, but Jordan indeed said that he wouldn't be playing unless it's for Phil Jackson, since the Bulls GM Jerry Krause didn't
This guy, man, right here, man. This guy. As you watch The Last Dance, you know, man.
want to re-sign Phil, and Scottie Pippen wanted to get his first massive paycheck. The Bulls fell apart, and MJ fulfilled his promise and retired for the second time. And then in January of 2000, Michael came back to the NBA, but he didn't wear a jersey. Instead, he slipped into a suit and tie as a minority owner and president of basketball operations for the Washington Wizards. The team was bad and finished that year with a 29-53 record. And they got even worse next year with 10 wins less. But there was hope on the horizon. They got the #1 pick. MJ had the chance to get a blue chip prospect, and he famously opted for Kwame Brown.
I gotta react to Kwame Brown highlights, man. You know, people always say he like one of the biggest busts and all that. I don't know. I know he wasn't that good as people thought he would be, but I gotta find out, man.
#1 high school player in the country. Jordan saw something in Kwame, and he believed he is the cornerstone that will immediately turn the Wizards into a winning ball club. Also, he knew a guy pretty good at basketball, a guy who was on the floor with the team at every practice, and who was itching to make another comeback. It's an itch that still needs to be scratched, and I want to make sure this itch doesn't bother me for the rest of my life. I'm just going to play the game of basketball that I love. It's not about the money. Indeed, it wasn't about the money. Jordan the GM gave Jordan the player the smallest salary on the Wizards, and MJ gave all of it to the victims of the 9/11 terrorist attack. It really was just about the game for him. And because of that competitive fire that never ceased to burn, and that voice in the head who kept telling him he is still better than the young guys who took over the league from him. How good were the Wizards? The Wizards had a young Richard Hamilton, who was in his 3rd year, and
Boy, them Braves, boy.
turning to be one of the most promising shooting guards in the league.
Hide your kids, hide your wife, boy.
That was about it when it comes to quality players with potential. The rest were either older veterans on their way out, or young role players. Of course, there was also Kwame Brown, who, by the time the season started, was already crushed by Jordan, who insulted him at any chance he got. Jordan never changed his ways, and just like he trash-talked all of his opponents, teammates, and Jerry Krause, he was maybe even worse to Kwame. A 19-year-old kid couldn't take it, and he played with zero confidence and was basically unusable on the court. Nobody on the team averaged more than 10 points that year, other than Rip Hamilton and Jordan. The Wizards were the same team that won 19 games the year prior, plus Jordan and Kwame. MJ thought it would be enough to be competitive, but he overstated his team and himself. Return of the Mac. Before the season, Jordan was working tirelessly to get himself in shape. He trained every day with his personal trainer.
Man, this got to do with the Wizards, man. Stop. It's weird you showing Bulls footage. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. You know, respectfully, you know, respect to you.
Tim Grover, and held private training camps with various NBA players to get himself in game shape. So, the season started. Jordan wasn't rusty. In the first 2 weeks of the season, Jordan scored over 30 in 4 of his 8 games. In the 9th, he poured 44 on the Jazz, picking up right where he left off in 1998. After the first 10 games, he averaged 27.4 points,
Wow.
6.3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals.
Okay. So basically, like what my man Bron doing now, like in like year what, 2019, 20? You know what I'm saying? Okay, cool.
He had never left, as his stats were virtually the same to the 1998 regular season. He was in the MVP race and made it easy for the world to fall in love with him once again. However, his play wasn't reflected in the team record, as the Wizards only notched 2 games in the win column. They started the season 5-12 and were at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Also, Jordan's stellar play at the beginning of the season wasn't sustainable at the age of 38. He was still Michael Jordan, but he wasn't Air Jordan anymore, or at least not all the time. And even though his totals were still looking good, Mike became an inefficient volume scorer on a bad team. He shot 40% in those first 17 games, a landslide from his career average of 50%. MJ was still fundamentally sound. He could still see every play, and he was still 6'6", strong and confident, but he didn't have the same speed, and he didn't have the legs under him to shoot efficiently. But if you know anything about Jordan, you know that he hates losing more than anything. After those 17 games and a 5-12 record, the Wizards won 9 in a row. Then they lost a couple, and in the second of those 2 losses, MJ had the worst game of his career. In 25 minutes on the floor, he shot 2 out of 10 and finished the game with 6 points, which snapped his record 866 game streak.
Show the misses, man. I just want to see him. That's it. Show the misses.
Of double-figure scoring, and the media went ballistic. After the game, Jordan was down on himself. On the bus ride from the arena, he sat next to Doug Collins, whom he hired to be the coach, and asked him, "Do you think I can still play?" Collins said, "Yeah, of course. I only took you out because we were down by 25 in the 4th and wanted to keep you fresh for the next game." MJ was satisfied and said he did the right thing, but he needed the confirmation and the assurance that his coach still believed in his abilities.
Does Skip Bayless know that Michael Jordan said something like that? Oh, Mamba mentality, tough as Michael Jordan. That MJ mentality, like Michael Jordan questioned himself, you know, at a later age, but still he questioned himself. You know, he's a human being, you know. Anybody can question themselves, you know. That's crazy. Like, Michael Jordan would never question himself like LeBron. Bro, shut up.
2 nights later, he responded in a big way. He scored the first 3 times he had the ball, and he finished the game with 51 points, going 21 for 38 from the field. He was the oldest player ever to score 50 in an NBA game. He followed that up with a 45-point, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 3 steal effort against the New Jersey Nets, including scoring 22 points in a row during one stretch. In the game against the Cavaliers, the Wizards were down by a point with 1.6 seconds left. Michael then hit a mid-range jumper for the last buzzer beater of his career. In a game against his former club, after enduring Ron Mercer's trash talk and having his jumper blocked, he responded by pinning Mercer's layup against the backboard with 2 hands and trash-talking him on the way back up the court. It was a game-winning play, and one of the most spectacular blocks by Jordan, or anyone for that matter. It was even more impressive that it was done by a 39-year-old who spent his last 3 years playing golf, drinking, and smoking cigars. By the end of the season, Jordan notched back-to-back 40-point games, but also 4 more games where he failed to reach double figures. And that's where the answer lies about Jordan's time with the Wizards. Yeah, he could still play, and yes, he could still be dominant, but it wasn't the kind of dominance we grew accustomed to. And it,
like LeBron now, you know what I'm saying? It's a different type of dominance, you know? It's wild, man.
didn't happen every game. Jordan finished the year early due to a knee injury that required surgery.
Kobe.
And the Wizards didn't make the playoffs with a 37-45 record. MJ played 60 games in the 2001-02 season, and he averaged 23 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 5.2 assists. Those numbers look great in a vacuum, but when you look at Jordan's efficiency, you can quickly tell he didn't have an overly successful season. Jordan took 22 shots per game, far more than he should have for a player shooting 41% from the floor and 19% from three. He was second to last in effective field goal percentage out of all players who qualified for the stat, and 169th out of 177 qualified for true scoring percentage. The real last dance.
Okay.
In the offseason, Jordan the GM wanted to help Jordan the player. He traded the best young player on the team, Rip Hamilton, for a more experienced Jerry Stackhouse. Trading away Hamilton was a mistake, and Jordan once again proved his short-sightedness in making decisions. The team wasn't that much better, and the season went pretty much the same as the last. Jordan, who was a year older and was battling a lingering knee injury, still had some juice left, but he had to squeeze really hard to get a full cup, and it didn't happen all the time. He scored over 43 times, becoming the first 40-year-old to score over 40 in an NBA game. He also had 7 more games where he failed to score 10 points. His defense wasn't at the level it once was, and numerous players took the opportunity to put up numbers against Jordan, something that was unimaginable in previous years. Kobe dropped 55 on him after Jordan taunted him that he could wear the shoes and could never fill.
That'll always be funny me hearing that, man.
Michael was more rational with his shots in the second year.
He just signed Mike. Look at this. Hilarious, man.
And 3.8 assists for the season. Jordan played in all 82 games, but once again, the team went 37-45 and didn't make the playoffs. The highlight of the year was definitely the All-Star game, where MJ was selected as a reserve after he rejected the offer from Allen Iverson and Tracy McGrady to take their starting spots. He ultimately accepted it from Vince Carter. At halftime, Mariah Carey performed a special tribute to him, donning dresses of both his rookie year Bulls jersey and his final year Wizards jersey, as his career highlights played on giant screens behind her. It was a proper send-off, worthy of a star that was Michael Jordan. In the game itself, MJ didn't shoot it particularly well, but he did score 20 points, and most importantly, hit a tough fall-away jumper over Shawn Marion to give the East the lead with less than 5 seconds to play. It appeared to be a game winner, but the West scored again and prevailed in overtime. Still, Jordan proved that he still belongs with the best players in the world, at least for one game, even though it was clear he wasn't the best anymore. A mediocre dessert to a great meal. If you want a recap of Jordan's time with the Wizards, you'll get different answers depending on who you ask. Jerry Stackhouse said that he wished he had never played in Washington because everything still going through Michael Jordan, even though it was obvious he wasn't the same player anymore. Kwame Brown was miserable during Jordan's years there.
Oh my God.
And his career would have certainly been better if he didn't play with MJ as a 19-year-old. The Wizards owner Abe Pollin wasn't thrilled with Jordan either, and he relieved him of his GM duties shortly after the last season of Jordan as a player.
Hey man, Kwame still doing them little YouTube things? Just asking.
If we compare Jordan's last years to some of the other NBA greats, we'll see some similarities. The greatest players who ever did it, if they took care of their bodies, were still extremely effective at an advanced age. Tim Duncan was named to the All-NBA and All-Defensive team in 2015 at the age of 39. Kareem made the first team All-NBA in '86, also age 39, and he averaged 26 points in the playoffs that year. Karl Malone averaged 28 and 5 at the age of 39, so it's not unusual that Jordan was still able to play. But maybe the best quote about Jordan's Wizards years came from his agent, David Falk. "I just don't think it was a good dessert to a great meal." In the words of De La Soul, Mike was certified hot, and then he dropped to lukewarm. However, that last 2 years didn't affect his legacy, and the unathletic Jordan, who had to pump fake 3 times to get a separation for a shot, was soon forgotten. People like to remember the good things, and the lasting image of Jordan will always be that shot over Russell and celebrating his 6th title with a cigar in his mouth.
But that's not how it ended though, you know what I'm saying? Hey man, that's it for the video, man. If you got any recommendations on other videos, Mike, anybody, you know how I go, leave them in the comments down below, man. Leave y'all comments too on how y'all feel about this video, man. Y'all agree with this? Y'all agree with what I said? Whatever, you know. We out.